Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. 5 dead lives.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam Johnston.
And I'm your other host, Leslie, bringing you your weekly horror podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Yeah.
It's a Sam and Leslie show today.
It is.
Which classic old. It's actually the first one that we've done just us two. So
yes. For Deadlights, for sure.
For the Deadlights.
Yep. But we done several other ones for the Mondays.
Yeah, we're no strangers to this.
No.
But,
Absolutely
for the
not.
Deadlights, this is the first official one.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a fun one.
It was really, I thought, okay, well, before we jump in.
What did we just watch?
What did we watch?
We just watched The Host from 2006. Directed by Bong joon-ho.
Mm-hmm.
Written by Bong joon-ho, Won-jun, and Chul-hyun Baek.
Mm-hmm.
A monster emerges from Seoul's Han River and begins attacking people. One victim's loving family does what it can to rescue her from its clutches.
Yep.
It was a monster movie for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was an environmental commentary on environmental things for sure, and definitely political commentary as well, going on through the whole thing. It felt, though it came out in 2006, it felt pretty relevant to what's going on today.
I mean, it hit home.
There was some shots there that it wasn't their intention to hit home as much as it did, but at least for us, there was there's a shot full of masked people.
Masked people, everybody afraid of each other because of this potential virus that is spreading, or at least the news through the military is saying this virus is dangerous, cover up, stay away from each other. Yeah.
There's hysteria because of the virus, because of the monster. I kind of got the sense that there was already some social and political unrest happening before this movie started, and then this was definitely a tipping point of something to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And it sends these people into chaos. I mean, at least the people that we see for sure, and then there's this sense that that whole city is just in shambles because of what's going on.
And it was so interesting that it was kind of like a rescue type of movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't dive more into these social commentary.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny, and because of that, I just was expecting a different ending or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. I think in general, Bong Joon-ho's tones are very different, or very interesting. Because in this movie and in his most recent movie, Parasite, there's definitely moments of, first of all, there's heavy social commentary in both. There's moments of intense drama, family drama, especially, but in both those movies too. But there's also really funny moments, there
were so many
comedic moments between what's going on with the action, almost slapsticky, and the music too.
The music
kind of changes the tone.
Our main character was always falling, and the sister and brother always saw him as a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just this fool, this clown, he's not smart, he's not athletic. What can he offer to the family?
Mm-hmm. And that's how pretty much everyone saw him too.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond his family, everyone kind of just saw him as this fumbling idiot who's crazy, who's drunk, lazy, immature, all this stuff. But he's ultimately, obviously, our hero for the movie, for the whole movie. Well, from the top.
Make it drop.
Yes. It starts with we're in a medical facility.
Yeah, we're in a morgue.
In a morgue, right? Well, it seems like they're at least
a mortuary.
Yeah, they're at least. It is the mortuary because they have formaldehyde. Yeah, And it's a obviously white American doctor and a Asian doctor, presumably Korean, because they're in Korea. And the American doctor is complaining about the dust.
The dust. Oh, there's too much dust. There's layers of dust. And he goes on into saying, like, oh, I hate dust and blah, blah, blah.
It's this, like, and he's making it sound like it's the Korean guy's fault, too. He's like, look at this dust. Like, you should clean this. They never say it, but it feels very much like the American doctor is in charge. And he's the superior. Yeah. That's a thing that goes on throughout this whole movie of American involvement in the Korean affairs.
They always have to put their little fucking finger everywhere.
And almost sometimes for the Koreans to do things, they need to get permission from the Americans. There's too much dust on the formaldehyde, just on the top, so just pour it down the drain.
But it's dangerous. Like,
I don't care. They're dusty.
I'm telling you that you have to do this, so you have to do it. So he did it. And, like, the simplest solution was to just clean it with the rag. You know? I don't think those things expire anyway, so why even dump it?
And that's the thing, is, like, it might have taken a little more time for them to go through, properly wipe the dust off of every single bottle, because we do see how many bottles there are.
So many.
So much formaldehyde. It would have taken time for them to go through every single bottle and just clean it. Fuck it. Let's just pour it down the drain. That's easier. Just get rid of it. Just throw it away. He's pouring down all the formaldehyde down the drain, and we're just panning and tracking along all these bottles, and then it cross-dissolves to the Han River flowing, and we know that's all something's churning in there.
And then we get the title right.
That's when we get the title card. Yeah.
Of the host. And the whole time I kept asking myself, well, who's the host? Is it the humans because of the virus? Or is it us still because of how we just, like, follow along to whatever the military or, you know, the Americans say? So, or is it the fish itself?
Right. That's what I was questioning too. Why is it even called the host? And I don't know if I even have a clear answer on that yet.
No.
I've seen this is the second time I've watched this. I still don't know for sure. This time watching it, I was definitely, because I knew how it ended about the whole virus, the truth about the virus. So I was definitely paying more attention to that kind of thing. And definitely the people in this are playing host to fear. You know, the government is spreading fear in some ways with this virus and with this monster. They're using it to control these people. And there's almost like an epidemic of fear. Which
is exactly parallel to what has been going on for the last 2 years with COVID-19. That, like, they are strong believers that this is still a hoax. That this is still, like, the government trying to control us. Even though there's clear numbers of deaths. Here in this movie, they were admitting people, but they didn't show any signs of there being a virus.
They just said there's a virus.
But, like, it seemed like it was too far into them spreading this that they couldn't take it back, and they didn't want to seem dumb or incoherent.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does get to a certain point too where you can, like I said, control people with their fear. So they probably realize, oh shit, we fucked up. There's no virus. But maybe we shouldn't tell them just yet.
Yeah, to me that was much scarier than the actual fish eating thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of the point, is like, who's the actual monster here? You know,
who's the biggest monster right now?
Yeah, what is the biggest virus or thing that's spreading in reality? So then we go and meet our main character for the first time in I kept calling it the snack shack.
Yeah,
'cause that's
we're-
essentially what it
yeah.
is. It's kind of we're introduced to his name is Gang-do,
Mm-hmm.
and he works with his father at his little shop, which is in the middle of this park, and it just has a bunch of different snacks.
And it was their home as well.
It was also their home.
Yeah.
They cook things in there. They slept in there.
Mm-hmm.
The father is, I mean, he's definitely the one who's going around doing most of the stuff, serving the people. Gang-do's just sleeping, and that's a thing that he does throughout this movie a lot. Is
It's
sleep.
just sleep. And the dad, his scolding was just like, no, you don't take from people.
Right.
Like, this is not yours. This is for the customer.
Yeah.
Like, don't take it from them.
It's very much just like pat on the hand. Like, don't do that. Go apologize to them.
Here, we're going to give him these free beers and give him this one.
Yeah.
Make sure it has 10 legs.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, his father is an interesting character like that too, in the way of he obviously cares about his kids, but they're all, as we learn, in these different situations that I think have made each of them individually desperate to survive. And I mean, like we just said, they live in this snack shack that they run.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all struggling, for sure. And the dad is just, I think just trying to get by. It sounds like that's how it's always been for them. He's just trying to get by. He's trying to get his kid okay. He's trying to make him okay. And he's just working hard. They're working hard. And this is also around the time that we meet... they kept yelling her name.
I don't...
Hanseo. Hanseo.
Hanseo.
Hanseo. Yeah, that's the daughter of Gang-do.
Yeah.
We don't really know anything about the mother at all. We never learn anything about her mother.
No, she just, left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
She
fine.
just, left
we don't
it.
need any explanation.
Mhm.
I can how Gang-do is, I can already make assumptions of why the mother left, or, that doesn't really need to be explained. And Hanseo definitely seems more mature than her father.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean...
But he does, try his best. At least when it comes to her, he puts a little more effort.
Mhm.
Even though, to society, he's still not a good father. But you can tell that he really loves her.
Yes.
And, that is his, world.
Yeah. I mean, he literally leaves, the octopus on the stove just to go and say hi to her. So...
And then he, trips while he goes over.
Again,
and she has to, pick him up.
He seems like a child. He
Yeah.
seems like a little boy who's going up to his big sister rather than, a father who's going to see his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The father and daughter kind of have this thing of watching TV. TV is another big thing that is going on through this whole movie. We get a lot of information from our TV, and this piece of information that we get is that his sister is a professional archer.
Yeah, I think for the Olympics or tryouts for the Olympics or something like that.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
But we also learned that they have a brother who had to go to Father's Day.
Parents' Day.
Parents' Day or something, and that he was drinking.
Yes.
He had alcohol breath.
The Gang-do couldn't go to Parents' Day, so he sent the alcoholic uncle
Brother.
instead.
Yeah. And it's he wasn't doing anything else, besides helping the dad. But not really helping.
But not really. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't really working.
He just doesn't have a job.
Yeah, to me it kind of seemed more of he didn't go because it was more of an embarrassment thing. He didn't want to.
Because a brother presumably works at that place,
yes.
right? Which is a call center.
It seems like it.
Something like that.
I don't know. They had some sort of techie thing going on.
He lives in the city. I feel like everybody else lives in the city.
Mm-hmm. He had a respectable job. He wore the suit. He seemed like a businessman.
Even though he was drunk
even though he's an alcoholic.
all the time.
Yeah. Again, each of these characters have their own baggage that kind of comes with, like, they're struggling hard. All of them are, like, he is in business, but he's obviously still struggling with his own demons and drinking and all that kind of stuff. He's not happy. I think the sister too, you know, she's in this world of intense competition, which is probably her kind of coping mechanism, having a hard life growing up. But she has that just like focused mind on like sports and stuff. That's where she's put her energy.
And she's good at it, but she overthinks.
Mm-hmm.
So she got bronze because of that.
Yes.
So she got third place because she just can't make a decision.
Because this is the first time that we actually get the first sighting of our monster, this creature. He's going to deliver the new beer and the new squid that he munched off of to Matt 4.
Yeah.
And everyone's just looking at the bridge and pointing at something hanging from the bridge. And it kind of just like unfurls and like slinks into the water.
I thought it was still growing.
Me too.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a cocoon.
I thought it was a cocoon.
Yeah. But it was just curled up and just waiting there and slinks into the water.
Perfect 10. Like,
Perfect 10.
Yeah.
A beautiful entry.
Yes, absolutely.
This thing was pretty good in the water. This thing was... And then it's kind of like swimming up to them, and I think Gang-do like throws...
He throws one of the beers.
Yeah, he throws a beer in there, and it just snacks it, or just snags it. And then...
Oh, that was the beer that it throws up at the end.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Boom.
Yeah.
So it was alcohol that did this. This is all alcohol. Man. Okay. And then it like takes it, and then everyone's like, whoa! And everyone starts throwing the food in there. Which I thought was kind of like this interesting image of everyone's just littering. Throwing their trash into this river. That was the cause of this thing from the start, is them contaminating this river. And people are just like, oh, this is fun.
Chucking whatever. Whatever
popcorn,
it was.
Fucking fry. I don't even know.
I don't know.
Well. Oh, well. I gotta deliver these beers. And then, he looks over, and the thing is freaking just running straight at him. And that's when we really get the first clear image of this big walking fish
monster
toad thing. It was weird looking.
It was weird looking. Yeah. It was a mutated fish for sure.
Big fish.
A groper.
Yes.
Groper or grouper?
Grouper. With legs.
Well, I mean, it is groping people.
Definitely groping people with its big talons and its tail.
Yeah.
It was gross looking. We just cut back to
oh yeah.
Hwanseo and the grandpa in
she makes it out first by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's so entranced with like this beer that's like she kicks and then it spurts out. Yeah. Yeah, and she's just so entrancing. You can just hear in the background is just like yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
I thought that shot was so cool because she's watching that can and then she walks out. It's all slow motion, and as she's walking out, then it starts to reveal just like so many people like running behind her,
and she's just like in this tunnel, like
she's still looking at it, and then she gets swooped up by Gang-do, and is just literally thrown into this situation of chaos. They fall, and he's like gripping for her hand, and finally finds it, and then he is running again, and then it's the wrong schoolgirl.
Is this the wrong girl? She was just so confused. She was like, and he was like, "Oh, where is mine?"
Yeah, immediately. Hwanseo! Monster coming,
grabs her,
just snatches her with the tail.
He's nope. No, I'm
Groper.
not gonna make that. I'm not gonna make that joke. No.
It's the child. Not the child. Not the child.
But yeah, he like takes her, and now he just gets consumed by just trying to save her.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's like the grouper grabs her and just does this fucking dive straight into the water.
Oof.
And he's just like, what the fuck? And watches her get taken away. This is pretty much the start of this family's journey in this movie. This is their inciting incident of what's going to happen for the rest of them, because I believe
After this, it's the evacuation, right?
yes, they evacuate the park, and they pretty much just relocate everybody to. It looked like a recreation center or something, but it was also set up as kind of like a memorial for the people who got killed. And that scene is agonizing and funny sometimes. It's weird.
It was pretty strange, it going back and forth, because at first you're just like, oh fuck, like this sucks, and the grandpa and the son were just kind of like, looked like they had just like past its morning, you know, at least for a little bit. And then the brother comes in, the sister comes in, and then it just turns into this whole hysterical, very dramatic sort of morning when they all just like fall down and they're all just rolling on the ground, and then the brothers start like fighting. And then they just kind of get escorted back to their little circle. It looks like everybody has like a little place on the ground.
Yeah, they're just like literally they're sobbing, they're rolling around on the floor into each other, and they're comforting each other and then kicking each other. Like it's very it's a lot of different emotions going on at one time.
I think it's also because like that's everybody's essentially like daughter in a way. They all helped raise her, and she was for the most part a really sweet girl of what we like see. And it's also like they didn't want her to have the kind of lifestyle that they did. So like with her, their childhood died. Yeah.
She's an innocent, and their innocence was literally taken away from them. Yeah, it's
again because it already was.
Yeah,
because of poverty and
because of the trauma that they've all gone through. You're right. They wanted to protect her as long as they possibly could from the real world, but the real world just came out of the water and just snatched her up to not her fault at all. She did nothing wrong, and she's a victim. She's a victim now, which it's tough for all of them to accept. And I think that it's a really, while it seems at times funny, it's like I think a pretty good representation of how people will react. They each have their own reactions to this, but they're all still in mourning. But ultimately they are together.
They are.
And they have each other, which seems like even though they resent each other for things, they're relying on each other for a very good portion of this movie. Like for the whole movie. Yeah. They're all working together.
They have to. And in order for her to, you know, be alive, they have to like rescue her.
The next scene is them they've collected themselves, but Gang-doo's asleep. He's like just asleep on the floor. And you're right. The brother's really getting out of him. Like, how can you sleep right now? How can you possibly... He's kicking him while he's asleep. And the dad kind of, again, comes to his defense and is like, don't do that. Stop. Leave your brother alone. Let him sleep.
It's like, your daughter was taken. And then, like, you witness all of this stuff. Like, how can you sleep?
Right.
And then
I think, at least for me, at that moment, too, I'm like, how can you sleep? Like, as the audience member, I'm like, I don't understand how you can sleep. It becomes revealed later, more and more, that the sleeping is more than just him being lazy.
Yeah.
But in this moment, I definitely was like, how can you sleep right now? Like, that's crazy.
mean, it is part of dissociative disorder where, for me, I suffer from that, and I just fall asleep. If I just am so emotional, whether it's happiness or sadness, anger, I just kind of like black out, and I just like, my body just puts itself to sleep because that it's easier than processing what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, I felt like that's what his body needed to do.
Mm-hmm. And that happened immediately after we saw this like horrible, hysterical scene that they all just went through.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly makes complete sense that he would fall asleep at that moment.
And then you really can't wake up after you had gone through this like overwhelmment of emotions, and then your body tells you to go to sleep. It's really hard to wake up after that. It is kind of like you are blacked out, at least in my experience.
To everybody else, though, around him, and I think especially, we do have to consider the culture that this is in. I think a very work-first culture. You work hard for things. Someone who's sleeping all the time is immediately lazy.
Yeah.
And that's bad. That's really bad. You aren't working at all. We're all working out here, and you're asleep. You're immediately viewed not only from like your family members or whatever, but everyone else around you in society as a fucking lazy bum.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't work for shit.
Mooching off of like the dad.
Mooching off the dad, but he legitimately just has his mental disease. You know, he actually has mental illness from trauma. But then who comes in? The government, whatever we think of as the government, yellow suit guy comes and slips.
He slips and he falls down before he basically tells him, like, you guys are contaminated.
Yeah.
We're going to have to, like, move you and do tests on you.
He essentially comes in and he's like, anyone who's come in contact with the beast is possibly contaminated with a virus. And we're going to move you to do more tests, essentially. Mm-hmm. Anyone who, like, touched, the beast, we're going to do more tests. Like, and he didn't say anything else.
Well, he's like, raise your hand if you were around the beast or something like that. Or, like, who was
in physical contact with the monster, whatever.
Who kissed the monster on the lips, on his 4 lips.
Now that's some tongue.
And, like down your throat, like.
Man, I love him.
But that is when I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce these.
I'm doing my best here.
Yes.
The father. Gang-do.
No, the other father.
Grandpa.
No, I'm so sorry, I can't do that.
Gang-do. Gang-do.
Gang-do. He wakes up and he's like lifting his hand. He's like, "Oh, everybody's lifting their hand," and the brother's like, "No, put it down." And then he gives away the information that he got blood on him. Yeah. So. And
then immediately like, get that guy.
Get him.
Put him in this like yellow containment bag.
Yeah,
I was like, that's claustrophobia. It's a nightmare.
Absolutely, I would have definitely just passed out because I am not even gonna deal with this. But when all the yellow suits were coming in, it reminded me of Monsters, Inc. I think they're yelling out 2419, 2419, and then they're all coming from all sorts of
the little sock. They shave that guy down. Yes, very Monsters, Inc. But those yellow suits come in and they're immediately just firing off smoke.
Yeah.
From this point on, the smoke imagery is pretty constant.
Trying to clarify.
Yeah. Decontaminate everything. But to me, I see that and I think of, first of all, industry, like factories and pollution. Mm-hmm. And there's also something that they would do, I think in like the 50s or 60s in America, where they would, I think it was honestly for bugs, and this happens a lot in the South. They would have these trucks that would just go, like, drive around your suburb, and it would just be shooting off smoke like that. Like, we saw those trucks moving through And they would be doing that. And kids would just, like, run behind the trucks and, like, dance in the smoke. And, like, I always just think, okay, what horrible generational effects are you putting into your body right now?
Yeah.
So we then get relocated to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to the hospital. He's in his little bag, his yellow bag. He specifically has to get tests because he was exposed to the blood or whatever. And they're like, you can't eat for 24 hours. The next scene, he's literally, like, hunting for food. And then this is the moment where he gets this call on Hwan-seo's phone. And he picks it up. And it's really garbled. Like, you can barely hear what's going on. But what we do hear is presumably Hwan-seo saying, I'm in a big sewer, a big, dark, deep sewer.
Yeah.
And that's all he can get. But he hears her. And he, for the first moment, realizes, holy shit, she's could actually be alive.
She's alive. And all the family just, like, wakes up and they're all just kind of staring at him. And even though they think of him of just, like, this aloof kind of person, they believe him.
Mm-hmm.
All of them believe him immediately. They don't ever question it.
I think that's actually when we get the first, like, swing attack.
Mm-hmm.
This is when we realize that this monster is starting to get, like, some swinging acrobatic techniques. It frickin', like, swings down, and I think
it snatches the one dude, right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
And then it
hits
just,
him,
like...
and then it swings back and just right onto the truck. Just body slams the truck.
Absolute WWE kind of move.
Smackdown.
It literally was just like, boom. And then the other dude was like, oh!
Holy shit. And then we cut to this, essentially the monster's lair.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings back the kills that kills. Because what we realize about the monster is that it's actually storing the people in its mouth. And then it brings it back to this lair to be alive, be kind of alive, until it actually wants to eat it, keep it fresh. And then that's when we realize, holy shit, Hwan-seo is actually still alive. And she's surviving in this hole. She's crafty, for sure. Like, she's a survivor. She wants to survive. And there's no question in my mind of, like, the first time we see her in that hole, she's already thinking about how to get out. Because the first time we see her in that, the shot is her picking up the cell phone, and she's like, I can use this. And then she looks up to the top of the hole thinking, all right, how am I ultimately going to get out of here? There's no moment of her, like, doubting. Mm-hmm.
Her critical thinking is amazing.
Yes. She's already I'm surviving this. I'm not giving up. But that's when they realize, we got to get out of here because the police aren't doing anything. We don't even know what we're being tested for. Like, we need to just take matters into our own hands.
And again, it's this whole topic of making sure that everybody's fed. Mm-hmm. Because in a way, maybe they did know that she was going to be able to get out. You know, they know that she's smart and she's tough. But the human basic need is to eat and drink water. So if she doesn't have that, no matter how tough she is, she will die. Yeah.
That is a thing that they go back to constantly. Like, the home, and when they're eating, is like this, obviously a necessary thing, but it feels like a family thing too. It feels very much like when you are being fed by someone, you're being cared for by them like a family member would.
And I know for sure in the Korean culture, like, if we were to be eating, I would, like, put stuff on your plate. As in, like, here you go, keep eating. Like,
and that's something that we see when they're eating. Like, people are taking things from other people's plates. Mm-hmm. It's all very shared, communal sort of thing. You're part of our family unit.
Yes.
You're part of our meal.
Like, we need to make sure that you're eating. Mm-hmm. And also, in the Mexican culture, you don't just eat once. There's enough food for you to eat twice. And if you don't go and grab a second portion, it's because the food wasn't good enough, you know? So your grandma's like, oh, so are you going to eat again? Yeah. So yeah, like, eating is supposed to be this very communal kind of, like, moment. We all need it.
Yeah.
We all need it to survive.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting that it's such an important thing for, like you said, Mexican and obviously the Korean culture. And I'm glad that we brought that up because obviously a very important thing in this movie. But I think that point might get lost on a lot of Americans watching this movie because a lot of people, I think, grew up not having family dinners where everyone sits down at the same time and everyone gets nourishment together. I think a lot of people don't have that. And I think that our culture just doesn't have just doesn't hold that importance on that moment more.
Yeah. Which
Because
is sad.
It's very sad. I like that, this idea of being fed and feeding and this very human, basic need that we all, whether we like it or not, share. And let's share it together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as big of a thing here.
No, that's sad because I have a lot of, like, that was the one thing that my family and I would do is sit down and eat for breakfast, for dinners, and a lot of the time I was the one cooking, or we would order food on Friday nights, or we would go to a restaurant together, until we all started like leaving home and stuff, and now it's like very hard to eat with even one other person that lives with you.
And it becomes a special thing, I think. At least for me, too, because that's how I grew up as well, where the family was, at least dinner, we all knew we were going to be there all together. It wasn't even like a dining room where we just all sit around and eat dinner. A lot of time we would eat and watch TV at the same time, but we wouldn't be enthralled in what was going on the TV. It was more like we were talking to each other while eating about that or whatever, It was still about all of us coming together, having that moment of being a family and being together and doing the one thing that we all have to do as humans together. I don't know who they're going to talk to, but they end up, the father essentially gives everything he has.
Everything.
All of the money in his wallet.
Watch.
His watch. All the cards that are in his wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Everything to these.
Money. It looks like he had been saving a bunch of money. He has it in a vanilla envelope. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be $11,020.
Yeah.
For all of these things.
Yeah.
All these fees. And then they're like, oh, that's not enough. Like in your wallet or in your envelope. Mm-hmm. So like he has to give everything away. Everything.
Every last bit.
But he does kind of look irritated that he has to give that much. But he's never blaming anybody. He doesn't come back to the van and say like, you're going to have to do this for me now and blah, blah, blah.
He actually doesn't even tell them because he gets back in the car and he's like, this is what $500 got you? They thought he only spent $500 on this whole thing. He ends up spending everything.
Everything. And then they're just complaining and he doesn't say anything.
No. He's still just like, keeps his mouth quiet. Because I think he knows that this is all for Juan Seo. Mm-hmm. Like he will give everything to protect her or probably any of his kids.
Yeah.
His whole life savings, what he's worked for his entire life or however long, he doesn't react to giving all of that away as much as he would react to losing one of his kids.
To be honest, he does not ever blame anybody for anything. Mm. He does not...
Except himself.
Yes. Very much like a father. But he doesn't like question his son when he shows up drunk. Like where there's no conversation that he has with him saying like you need to lay off that alcohol, it's destroying you. I think it's in the same vein of like, okay, like I know what you had, like I know what my life or like your life is tied to what my actions were, so I'm not gonna now scold you because you are now taking up alcohol, as long as you have a job.
Mhm.
And then the daughter, he never, like, asks for more from
He doesn't
her
say,
either.
"Oh, it was only a bronze."
Only a bronze. Why didn't you, like,
He actually
try better?
He kind of holds that up, actually, because when she shows up with the bronze, he's like, "Look what your aunt brought you, a bronze medal."
A bronze medal.
Like, that's amazing, kind of
because
thing.
it's still fucking extraordinary.
Yeah.
But he respects his children. He knows what he had to, like, put them through. And, like, to him, they're doing enough.
A chemical truck and some disguises and a map.
Yeah.
That
a sewer map.
A sewer map. That's pretty much what he got from his entire life savings.
And it was just, like, fees that were applied.
Yes. And it was pretty much only to get past the checkpoint back into the park, so they can go search the sewers for Hwan-seo. And that's all that it really did.
Oh, because now at this point, they are wanted criminals.
Yes.
They're being displayed everywhere. Posters on the media. Because they are now known as the family who could potentially spread the virus.
This virus.
So everybody, there's a reward
Yeah.
for their heads.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not dead, but, like...
To capture them.
To capture them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Like, they are now the poster children for this pandemic. There's this whole montage of them searching the sewers.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a sense that they're searching for a very long time. They've been searching all the sewers.
Non-stop, it looks like.
Non-stop and pretty unsuccessfully, too.
Yeah.
And then we get revealed 2 new characters in this movie. I was like, holy shit, we're getting new characters now? Like, we're, like, almost, like, 3/4 of the way through this movie, and we're getting, like, 2 new characters. And we essentially learn that I thought they were brothers.
Yes.
They're brothers. And they're
are.
homeless, and they're obviously struggling to find food. And while the Snack Shack people are gone, they actually go to the Snack Shack and break in and take all the snacks.
I didn't put that together, that was their space. Their space.
Mm-hmm. They got a bunch of food from it.
The scene.
And then, who's back?
Fucking
the at this point,
acrobatic Olympic champion.
He is doing these, like, fucking swings from under this bridge. I'm like, oh damn, he's figured out how to use his body now.
Yeah.
We kind of get this this pursuit scene between the brothers, and they're being chased by this, and that was a really cool transition.
Oh my god.
They're running from this monster, and they're approaching the door. Like, the camera's also approaching the door of the shack, and you think it's them about to get to safety, but then the shack door opens, and it's the family. And we don't even know what happens to the 2 brothers.
I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them make it inside.
Yeah. I mean, it was very well done. The tension was built, and then it was just completely taken away to be like, ah.
And then at that moment, I kind of was like, oh, fuck.
Then you kind of almost accept, like, oh, shit. No, they probably didn't make it.
Damn it.
Damn. And then we have this is another just, like, really nice scene of them eating.
Mm-hmm.
They're all exhausted from searching, and clearly they've been searching for a really long time, and they're just, like, literally, like, come to the shack and just, like, some of them fall down and just, like, and then they get the instant noodles going, and then the father makes the water, and they pour the water in there, and they're all around the table. They're just waiting.
They're just waiting for it to just kind of...
They're just waiting there, like, 2 minutes or whatever for the ramen to be ready, and...
They're all not talking. They just kind of... Just there.
They're just there, and then they finally take off and they just start eating, and then Hwan-seo comes up in the background, like, completely clean in her, like, schoolgirl uniform, and is just there, and
snacking off of everybody. Everybody's
take some food? Yeah, and like they see her, not only Gang-do, but his sister too sees her and is interacting with her and feeding her dumplings and giving her food, but it's just a hallucination. It's just this like...
It was so sad.
It was very sad because you're right, they didn't talk to each other, they didn't say anything during this whole scene, but you know that there's this one thing that's on all of their minds, and it's Hwan-seo, finding her.
And also, I feel like it took them so long for them to actually just like feed themselves too, because they know that she's hungry. They know that she hasn't been able to like eat, and them eating together in silence, I think, is just in mourning of just like her not being there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they just have this shared hallucination of being able to like feed her, and it was so adorable.
And again, more
beautiful.
food. Like food, they're nourishing her.
Everybody takes turns to like give her something.
Here, take this, take this.
So sad.
Right. Because she's still down. Because I'm gonna cut to her in reality, and she's still down in the pit. And Big Monster comes back and delivers the brothers that we just saw.
And she's trying to get water from the top.
Yeah, she's like drinking the...
Yeah.
That's like all she has. And then the monster comes and I think she fakes dead.
She does.
And delivers the two brothers, and the older brother doesn't look like he made it.
No.
Does not look like he made it. But the younger brother kind of has this like little life moment, and she immediately becomes like
protected.
I gotta take care of this little boy. And I think that that's probably coming from a fact of like, holy shit, there's another person here that can help me get out maybe. But also she has, I think, this instinct to take care of other people too, because of the people that she's been around. All those people, the scene that we just saw of all of them being fed together by the father, all that kind of stuff, then translates into this scene of her being like, all right, well, now I have to take care of this person because they're within my circle now. And she does. I mean, she's looking out for that little boy and like trying to make him comfortable. Like, tell me all the foods that you're gonna eat when you get out of here. Aww. Like trying to distract him from the situation that they're in. Like she's thinking beyond just using him as like a thing to help her get out. Like she's like actually genuinely trying to make him comfortable in this awful situation that they're in. After the family meal, Gang-do falls asleep, and I think the brother makes another comment about like, I just don't understand how you can sleep. I just don't get it.
I
can sleep
like,
right now.
He's just like sitting there.
Yeah, just gone. And then the father like kind of sits them down, and he's like, I want you to all sit down right now and listen to this for a second because I need to tell you something. And this is kind of when we get the grandpa's reasoning for how he is with everybody and why he babies Gang-do, because he said he doesn't get too specific, but he says something like, in those days I was so gone. I was working a lot, and your brother had to be essentially the man of the house. Blah blah blah.
Because he would go out and drink too, so he would be gone all day,
and then all night, and then Gang-do kind of had to be the man of the house. And this is when I think he says he's like, super young, 2-3 years old, and he was like, I couldn't provide enough for him then, and he lacked the proper proteins to, he's like, something happened in his head where the proper proteins didn't get in there. So sometimes he just goes to sleep because I fucked up and I didn't provide him with enough.
Yeah.
So now his body just turns off sometimes. And he's essentially blaming himself for how he turned out. His his failures has made Gangdu how he is today. And you shouldn't blame him. You should blame me.
And like the whole time he's having this really heartfelt conversation with them. And they fall asleep.
They fall asleep. And at first I was like, oh, like this is like another kind of like comedic thing that they're trying to do. But it's directly, they're falling asleep. Like, they also probably lacked the right proteins when they were younger to stay awake or whatever it is. Like, they have the same thing going on with them that Gangdu does. And it's because of what the father wasn't able to provide for all of them when they were kids.
And good fucking thing that he fell asleep and everybody else fell asleep because that thing was right outside.
Yep.
What, drinking water because it was raining?
Yeah. Fucking Gangdu just... It's out there.
It's out there.
It's out there. He knows. For some reason, he just knows, he can sense it. And they go all into... And it is out there.
It is out there.
It is out there. And it attacks the trailer. It attacks the snack shack.
Yeah, because the dad missed. He like shot the rifle,
I think that's
right?
shotguns.
Shotgun?
Yeah.
Shot the gun and it missed. And
It missed.
Knows where it came from, so it went and attacked the shack. Turned it absolutely upside down.
They're running after it and shooting at it as they're chasing after it. It again does this like fucking crazy, you know,
somersaults kind
acrobat
of thing.
shit on the bridge.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And the father is just like, the grandfather is kind of like, you two go, like we only have like one shell left in, because he asked Gangdu, he's like, how many did you shoot off? Do you have any bullets left? And he's like, yeah, I got a bullet left. And he's like, okay, here's my I'll take that shotgun. You all go and I'll distract it or whatever. So, I mean, I think the grandpa kind of knew, like, this is the last moment.
Yeah, and also, like, he can't run.
No.
He wasn't going to be able to make it to the car.
This is a sacrifice that he needs to make so his kids can survive. Because what ends up happening is he turns around and he tries to shoot the shotgun at the monster, but Gangdu miscounted.
Yeah, he was like, it goes back to him counting. He's like, oh no. And
he actually shot way more.
Yeah, because he was like, pop, 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 pop.
Yep.
Right before.
And
so dumb.
Grandpa's got no bullets.
So he was just like, just go.
Just go. Well, and it's interesting because the monster doesn't consume him.
No, or takes him to the lair.
No. He just knocks him down. Like, just knocks his head to the pavement. And then picks him up and slams him onto the pavement. Like, almost like a revenge kill. Like, it's not it's not for food at all. It's just like...
This is where I was talking about, cats and stuff. Only cats hunt for fun. So it's like, how are you developing your brain so fast? Like, you went from a fish, And yeah, there's predators in the sea, but like, none of them hunt for fun or do that kind of kill. So I'm like, this thing is getting dangerous. It's getting to the point where it will just attack.
And at that moment where Grandpa's dead, Gangdu gets taken by the government, the people who are trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know. So he gets taken and the other siblings escape. Yeah, so there's now what they're saying in the news clips is they have this Agent Yellow, which is this big, just more smoke, this big, essentially smoke bomb that they're going to detonate in the middle of Seoul that is supposed to kill all like the virus and destroy. I mean, I don't really know. They didn't really say what it was going to do. It was just like this big Agent Yellow that's supposed to decontaminate everything in Seoul. And that's where they kind of introduce it. And people are super against it. They do not want the Agent Yellow to be released. We get the uncle going to his friend to track the cell phone that Yun Seo called from, which I don't know why they didn't do that before.
Well, that is what the friend asks.
Yeah.
To like,
he's like, you should have come to me earlier.
Why did you like go on this huge adventure of like looking through every sewer and not straight to me?
And just in the nick of time before people come in, he ends up actually finding the sewer that it actually came from. And then he has this like great escape, another escape, where he ends up getting the lights out and just kind of sneaks by everyone, and makes it out of the building. And the police are pursuing him, and he ends up like going over a bridge and like hanging down,
until he couldn't anymore.
Yeah,
and he fell. I thought he was dead.
It seemed like he was dead. He like really fell far, and
or like broken something.
That's what it seemed like.
Ugh.
It just seemed like he died.
Yeah,
it seemed like he.
I just like put he died.
I wrote he dies, and then I scratched it out later.
Oh, I didn't scratch it out.
But
it was a question mark and an exclamation point.
He dies?
He dies?
But not before texting his sister the location that was found. And then she finally turns on her phone again and gets that.
I was dead.
Yeah, and gets that text from her brother. And she's like, oh, shit. She goes to that bridge, and then what happens at the bridge?
Fucking acrobatic Olympic champion.
Of course.
Gold medal fishy.
Gold medal fishy. She's on the phone with Gang-do telling him, you need to come to the bridge, as that thing is like coming at her. And she like gets the bow ready, but bonk. Just straight up.
Because her sense of urgency.
She don't got none.
The only time that we saw her run was when she got that text, and she was like, ooh, wrong direction, and then she went back.
Yes. Back to that bridge.
Yeah.
But Monster just, not killed, but knocked her out.
Hard. And then she was also in a little pit.
Yeah, she got put into like a little hole. Gang-do is in like a nightmarish situation.
Oh my god.
He is in the hospital, and they're just probing him like a specimen.
They're putting anesthetics on him, so then they're like doing a lot of blood work. He looks very weak.
Yeah, taking a lot of tissue samples too.
Yeah. Oh, yikes. They like insert that thing in there. Ugh. I can't see anything like that, so I didn't see it.
That was awful.
I just heard him scream.
Yeah, he was just screaming the whole time, and it was just like, I need to get out of here. Let me get out of here. And yeah, they're just literally just taking pieces off of him so they can study it. You really believe that your daughter is still alive? He's like, yes, my daughter's still alive. And he's like, all right, clearly this man is suffering. The virus has gotten to his brain, and his brain is being affected by this virus. And we need to perform brain surgery on him. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, the solution is there. His brain is precious, at one point they said.
And then right after he says that, he confides in the other doctor. And he's like, yeah, so by the way, that virus that they said, no one's finding any evidence of a virus. So even on the people that they said that there's viruses, they're lying. There's no virus, really. It's kind of like, oh, so all that stuff about a virus is just not real. It's just almost like this fear thing that they're continuing to spread.
And I can see how this movie, those that have seen this movie previously before this pandemic, could tie into their beliefs of like, oh, because it's so hard to grasp of an idea of this thing, this invisible thing going around and killing millions of people. Like, how is that real? Like, It spread from one side of the world to the other, and we're all now affected collectively.
It does seem like a very otherworldly thing.
Yes.
Concept.
Yeah. So
Just like a sewer monster
a
would be.
freaking sewer monster.
That's crazy.
That's
Am
crazy.
I right? Yeah. And he just like, the American's like, yeah, it's not real. All that stuff. There's no virus. Uh-oh. And then Gang-do's like, what? No virus?
And
But
they're
he understands that.
yeah. Oh, shit.
Brain surgery.
Oh.
That really was like nightmarish. Of like, you're about to be, you know that they're about to perform surgery on you.
Oh, wait.
And they're setting it up.
Brain surgery.
Brain surgery. They're going to drill into your head.
Awake. Ah. Inhumane.
Again, nightmarish.
I feel like that is what a lot of like the Nazis did.
It felt very
just
much like that.
See
again, like I just felt like he became like this specimen that they were studying, rather than like a human being that they were trying to help. They were trying to get information out of him.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the first time that I wrote down, who's the real monster here? Like, he is now reminding me of this monster that they would probe at and like experiment on. He is being treated like that. He's not being treated like a human anymore.
And I feel like they keep experimenting on him because they believe truly, not because there was blood on him, but because he will have something wrong with him. So then they can prove like, oh, look at the virus can't be detected, but he had blood on him, so this is what what happened on his brain. Because immediately they're like, oh, he has dementia.
He's crazy. The virus is in his brain.
Yeah. No.
And he, smartly, he does get through the brain surgery. Thank God.
Yeah.
And smartly uses their fear against them essentially as a weapon. He knows the virus isn't real, but he also knows that everyone else thinks it's real. So he, as they're taking a vial of his blood, he kind of comes out of like this like, loopy state and uses that vial of blood essentially as a weapon against them to escape. He's like, you want to be infected by this? You want to be like me? Then get the fuck away. And he eventually does get back to, he finds the sewer. He finds the pit.
He finds the pit.
And at this point, Hwan Seo has made an escape attempt. But it didn't work. Got fooled by the monster, and by the time that Gang-do gets there, he can see that the daughter and the little boy are in the monster's mouth. And so then it becomes a pursuit after the monster. At the same time, this demonstration, this Agent Yellow, is about to be deployed in Seoul to kill the virus, this what we now know of as the fake virus. So what is Agent Yellow even doing besides causing death? Nothing. But there's a big demonstration where it's going to happen, and of course the monster is like, "Oh, a buffet, yummy,
yum yum."
And so it's going towards the demonstration, and at the same time, like the brother wakes back up and he enlists a homeless man to help him.
Yeah.
And the sister wakes back up and she meets up with Gang-do again, and they're all going towards this final showdown at the demonstration. It finally deploys the Agent Yellow, and the Agent Yellow like really affects the monster. Like it's like making all these like boils, it's like burning its skin. And even the people are getting affected by it too. People are coughing up blood.
Coughing blood, like blood just pouring out of like, looks like every single...
It's not good for anyone.
No.
Not good at all. And then, so the monster is super, super weak at this point. And that's when the brother comes in with his Molotov cocktails, tries to burn it, and his homeless his partner, pours a bunch of gasoline all over him, and
the monster thinks that it's raining, so it's like drinking water.
Oh.
Nom nom nom.
And then the sister uses her bow to finally set it on fire, and
Fucking eyeball.
his eye hits it in the eyeball, yeah, and then sets it on fire. And then its last ditch effort is to run towards the water, but right before it gets to the water, Gang-do comes around the corner and just stabs it right in the
mouth.
Right in the mouth.
After the monster, he was like down for a second because of the ancient yellow,
Mm-hmm.
and then he grabs his daughter and the little boy,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when everything just
Went crazy.
kind of went crazy.
Yeah. And then this is essentially the moment where we learn that Hwan-seo is dead.
She's dead.
She did not survive that. But in her not surviving, she did save this little boy.
The little boy.
She protected him. And even when they were like being held inside this monster, she protected him. And he kind of coughs up and he's alive. But then we cut to presumably like 6 months later. Essentially it's winter.
Mm-hmm.
Snow everywhere. Completely change of season. Gang-dude looking a lot better. He's looking like put together. He's got short. He got his hair cut.
Yeah,
you know?
he got a haircut.
He looks clean.
He's not wearing just like slacks.
Yeah, it's his business now.
Not slacks.
Sweatpants. Yeah, I mean it's his business now. He's obviously his father isn't running it, so it's up to him to run it now.
Oh, that is true.
But then it's revealed that he's taken the boy under his wing, and now it's his son. And what's the last thing that they do together?
They eat.
The host.
Anyways, whoa, the host.
Wow, shit.
You know, for some reason, I mean, it was a while from the Parasite, but Parasite was a lot more gruesome. Yeah. So I was expecting this movie to be gruesome. Mm-hmm. It really wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I mean, there was obviously moments of like the monster like creating havoc, but
yeah,
aside from maybe like 3 moments, there really was not that much like terror that was going on. It was really like just this rescue movie. It was this family drama of them trying to come together and find this little girl.
Yeah.
With a lot of social commentary going on in the background.
Yeah.
But the core of it was just this family coming together to save this little girl.
Really. He does a really great job of just writing a really nicely layered story with really amazing edits.
Yeah.
And just visual, just the scene of the like sister running. And it's a wide shot of all of that. Wonderful.
It feels like this movie, like this script could have been just a monster movie. It could have just been, we created this thing and it's now attacking us. Like it could have just been that, and it was that, but it felt like there was so much more going on between how it was shot and how the characters were and the social commentary going. It felt like this movie was so much more layered than what it could have been if someone else had picked it up and made it, you know?
And it didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel like overwhelmingly like we have too many stories being told at one point. It was nicely proportioned.
Yes.
And it went from a monster to another monster, you know? And then that, like, this question of, like, okay, who's the host? Who's a real monster? Was what you then kept with you.
Yeah. Let's do some Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly,
I want to mash them.
The first time I watched this, so this movie was on my 31 Days of Halloween 2020 list, and that was the first time that I ever seen it.
Oh, okay.
This is the second time watching it, almost a year later, a little over. I gotta say, I liked it way more this time than I did the first time. I think the first time I was expecting more of a Parasite kind of movie where it was more heady, but then I got this kind of like just monster movie and I was like, okay, that's not what I thought it was, but So now going into it, I feel like I knew what to expect, and I was able to appreciate it more for what it was.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I really liked it. I really enjoyed. I thought that his weird, odd mixture of tone with this like serious family drama and comedy worked really well for the most part, and it felt like the story was very well told, and the characters were very well developed, and it's again what I always talk about is this intentional filmmaking. Mm-hmm. It's this every shot you felt like he was trying to convey something, and maybe if even though we might not have understood every single thing because of the literal cultural divide of us watching it, it still felt like everything was intentional that he was putting in there.
He's just a smart person.
Mm-hmm.
He's just smart.
He's very smart. He's very smart, and it's good to see that he's involved in not only the directing but also the writing part of this movie. Like he's there at the creation of this idea, and then the nurturing and forming of the idea after that. So, he's like in every part of this movie, and that is Bong Joon-ho. That's who we're talking about, by the way, the director. Really, really brings it home for me. I really, really like it. I think I gotta give this movie... I think I just have to give it at least a 4.5. I think I just gotta give it a 4.5 now, because I think it could be better than that.
I thought you were gonna stay in that of like, at least, I'm gonna give it... for the most part.
I have to be thinking.
At least.
At least rating of this, which I'm about to say. This number of stars, which is 4.5. 4.5.
Nice. All right. What do you think you would have rated it last time that you saw it? The first time?
Honestly, a 3.5.
3.5?
So, or somewhere around there. Probably not even close to... Not at 4, but not below 3. Somewhere within the 3. It was different. It was a lot different than what... Because I'd seen Parasite before.
Yeah.
And then I watched that. Or then I watched The Host. And it's very different. They're very different movies, but they're also very similar. And
in a sense,
I feel like I was able to see that more this time viewing it, of like, I see his style.
I wonder if he, as a person, does, like, he values food and, like, family time. Because in Parasite, there was a lot of, concepts of food and just making sure that the family's fed. And it also played with this family who lives in poverty. And they all work, and they all have to do what they need to do in order to provide for themselves. I also teetered between giving it a 3.5 and a 4. I landed on a 4 because in general, I really appreciate when the director's the writer and they have just a very coherent kind of storytelling. Mm-hmm. And it plays really well with just the edits. It also helps to have good actors, and they all just do a very fantastic job. It was a lot more comedic. I think in Parasite has a more balanced type of... I think it takes time also to just be able to get into your own style and figuring that out. So I think in Parasite it's more balanced in the sense where the comedic timing is a little more structured and effective, in the sense where you still know there's going to be bad shit happening and the comedic scenes are just there to just kind of alleviate a little bit, but it's not the whole, it
feels more natural.
Yeah. And here in this one, it's like, I kind of want to say it's a comedic horror film as opposed to just like a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to
popcorn it up. It?
I think. Yeah. I'll pick it.
Don't you pick it?
I'll pick it. I have not picked one yet.
You have not.
No.
Well, this is your moment.
First-
Shiny moment.
Yeah.
What if... No, what? There was another movie that we were...
We said we were talking about It last week. So if I pull that would be crazy.
I mean, now we have two
Oh,
of them
man.
out of the 90 that are
Okay.
in there.
I just have to pick one. This is it. This is the one.
Is that one burning? That one's burning your hand. If it's it, I'm gonna scream.
It's gonna be.
No, it's not it. It's not it.
No, it is not it.
Okay, good.
This is not it.
Whew.
But it is a very good banger. Banger.
Okay.
Big banger.
Okay, big banger. Big banger.
From 1982.
82.
The Thing, directed by John Carpenter, written by Bill Lancaster and John W.
Dang.
Campbell Jr.
I did see The Thing not too long ago.
This one?
Yeah.
This 80s one?
Uh-huh.
Nice. A research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims.
Yay.
All right. Let's get out of this episode, huh?
All right.
Well,
Let's do it.
plug ourselves?
Oh, right.
Because we don't have any guests.
No, absolutely. Hey, guys.
Guest, plug yourself. Thank you for
Thank
plugging.
you very much. Well, you can find me on Instagram, Color Me Leslie.
And you can find me at BeepBeepBridgieT and
Beep, beep,
us at the Deadlights Pod on Instagram. And also check out Planet Social, which is the studio that we are recording this in.
Mm-hmm.
But until next time, let's get spooky.
Ooh.
Oh my god! It's a frog fish.
It's
thing.
a
It's an ugly
where fish?